Upper Iowa set for its 12th Northern Sun Conference home opener in this, the Peacocks' 13th season in the league, following a 44-7 thrashing at Minnesota-Crookston last week. I'm Elwin Huffman. Joining me right now to preview Peacock football as the voice of Upper Iowa, Joe Stasi. And Joe, thanks for your time again.
You know what? Always, Elwin. And since you and I are hooking up on the radio again, it means we've made it through another winter, another spring, another summer, and it's time for football.
Good opening victory for Upper Iowa last week, playing that Thursday night game on the road against Minnesota-Crookston. They pushed their record to 9-0 all-time against the Golden Eagles. But more importantly for Upper Iowa was the win, but a decisive win for Upper Iowa, 44-7. Your thoughts on that ball game, first of all?
Upper Iowa, it came into this football game against University of Minnesota-Crookston with a lot of success in the past, and University of Minnesota-Crookston is not the team that sets the standard in the North. But needless to say, Upper Iowa, after bringing 110 kids to camp early in August, took the road and with some veterans back at key positions on both sides of the football, 8 back on the offensive side of the football and 7 back on the defensive side of the football, played terrific for the entire football game. Mistakes were minimal. And then on special teams, we have Brady Boyschel back, Nate Scary back as our punter and kicker, and our special teams did a terrific job and blocked 2 punts in the second half and returned them both for touchdowns. Keith Schrickerath from Garner, Iowa, one of our starting linebackers, just had a terrific game on special teams and on the defensive side of the football. He was named Northern Sun Intercollegiate Conference Special Teams Player of the Week. And so anytime you go on the road all the way up to northwest Minnesota and you get a win on the road, it gives your team a lot of confidence and it rewards you for getting to camp and working extremely hard.
You mentioned Keith Schrickerath from Garner, and I understand he's one of more than 50 athletes this year playing for Upper Iowa that's featured in the 2-deep chart.
Well, Tom Shea enters his 9th season at the helm, and he has a terrific coaching staff of Justin Wyatt. Mitchell Kleinschrodt is our offensive coordinator. Justin Wyatt was promoted to our defensive coordinator. And Mike Caniglia, Ryan Hansen, Andy Murfeld, Chance Albersworth, and Max Westfall in a volunteer role. But Tom Shea has a philosophy of recruiting kids from Iowa or within a 3 to 4 hour radius of Iowa. And Tom Shea over his 9 seasons has slowly built up the Iowa presence, and you're looking at 45 to 50 kids that are on the final roster, and then you have a number of kids that are either redshirted or are not on the roster. But very, very Iowa-heavy roster, and you go back to my days when I was at Upper Iowa in the 80s and early 90s, and a whole different ball game. I don't want to disparage Division III athletics and all the fine athletes that have come through Upper Iowa in the past, but since 2003, it's an NCAA Division II school. The athletes are different, and they're offering scholarships. So to get these players from Iowa and put them through the system, whether it's the redshirt system, they really develop, and it's tremendous to see all these Iowa kids.
Peacocks now look forward to their home opener on Saturday afternoon at 1 o'clock at Harms-Eischeid Stadium. It's Hall of Fame weekend. They're playing a team that's ranked number 21 in the nation, despite losing their home opener and season opener last week in Minnesota-Duluth. That was a 26-7 setback to the University of Sioux Falls. What can you tell me about this Minnesota-Duluth squad?
Well, I know they lost their quarterback from last season. He was a veteran, and obviously they're down. They went up against a really tough opponent in the University of Sioux Falls, South Dakota Cougars to start the season. The Cougars are ranked nationally as well. They came into the season ranked in the top 25 in NCAA Division II. Minnesota-Duluth came into that first game ranked 10th. And the Bulldogs only were able to muster 210 yards and negative 19 rushing. And their defense is pretty stout as well. University of Sioux Falls, I believe, put up around 200 yards offense. But it looks like they're down a little bit. Upper Iowa has competed in the past with this team, but has never beat them. And this would be a signature win at Harms-Eischeid Stadium this Saturday if Upper Iowa can execute offensively, take care of the football, move the chains, and continue to execute defensively. And Upper Iowa's strong point is that defensive line. again, led by a bunch of Iowa kids, Nate Romer, Zach Rees, Jesse Heineck, and JoJo Simpson. And Upper Iowa goes about 8 deep on that defensive line, which really frees up our linebackers and our secondary to force turnovers and put pressure on the quarterback. So, you know what? I like Upper Iowa's chances to make this a great football game, and it's right in our backyard at Harms-Eischeid Stadium.
You mentioned two traditionally strong powers in the Northern Sun Conference in University of Sioux Falls and also Minnesota-Duluth. Two teams ranked in the top 25 to start the season. Preview the Northern Sun Conference this year. How strong do you anticipate it being?
It's always strong. You know, as far as NCAA Division II conferences in the country, it's among the top and arguably the best in the country. You have 2 divisions, 16 teams. There's a North Division and a South Division for those casual fans out there that may not know. You got the University of Minnesota-Duluth. They're picked to win the North Division. They had 48 votes. Bemidji State, they made it to postseason play last year. They played in the Mineral Water Bowl. They're picked second in the North. MSU Moorhead is picked third in the North Division. Then you have Northern State out of Aberdeen. We'll play them next week. And then you have St. Cloud State, Minot State, University of Mary, and then Minnesota Crookston. Those are the teams that make up the North Division. And then the South Division, Minnesota State, the Mavericks, formerly Mankato State, for a lot of those folks out there listening. They've been in a national championship game within the past 3 years. Then you have Augustana in South Dakota. They're picked second in the NSIC South. And Sioux Falls, South Dakota, they lose a little bit at the quarterback position as well, but they're a perennial power and ranked in the top 25. They're picked third in the NSIC South. You have Winona State, which is our closest rival. They're picked fourth in the Northern Sun Intercollegiate South. Southwest Minnesota State, Wayne State, Nebraska, followed by Upper Iowa and Concordia St. Paul. And Upper Iowa, you know, as you know, coming into 2016 had just rattled off 3 6-5 seasons, the first time they've done that in over 25 years, and the first time they accomplished that feat at the NCAA Division II level. Upper Iowa last year lost numerous games. You know, 3 games come to mind where they lost by a single possession or even, you know, fewer points than 6. And just things didn't bounce their way in a 3-8 season. And this year, Upper Iowa again brings back so many key players on that offensive side of the football. Brent Lammers gets his chance at quarterback. He's an Iowa kid from Manchester. Ryan Parmley from Delhi. They both had terrific ball games. Brent Lammers rushed for 110 yards. He threw the football well. He threw for 187 yards and a touchdown. And Ryan Parmley rushed the football extremely well. He had 13 carries for 92 yards and 3 touchdowns, including a 62-yard run. And then, you know, some of the favorite receivers, Jesse Bazzini out of Cedar Rapids, Jared Edmonds out of Cedar Rapids. Just a lot of Iowa talent on that side of the football.
Upper Iowa is picked to finish 7th this season in the South Division of the Northern Sun Conference. Do you think they'll surprise the critics and have a better season than their 3-8 campaign a year ago?
You know what? There's no question about it. And you know, going back to Upper Iowa Media Day, Tom Shea, every year, you know, a coach has a rallying cry. And this year the rallying cry is that the chemistry has never been better. You know, everybody is behind everybody. Nobody is worried about who's starting, who's getting playing time. If you're on the 2 deep, you're going to find the field, whether it's on special teams or, you know, getting in the ball game and playing your role. This team is committed. They're stronger. They're faster than they have been in years past. And my expectations are always positive. I always look at all sports through a positive perspective, but this game's a big one right out of the gate. Anytime you play University of Minnesota-Duluth, a team that you've never beaten, a team that is continually and usually always ranked in the top 25 in the nation, you come out at home and punch these guys in the face. And, you know, if it's within a possession either way in the fourth quarter, I like our chances. We take really good care of the football. We have some big guys up front. Again, Iowa guys up front that do a terrific job. You have Skylar Lehman, Alex Schneider, Ross Westfall, Clinton Taylor, Wayne Dorsher. These guys are mostly Iowa kids, and they average 6'4", 305 pounds, and they're very athletic. So, I like Upper Iowa to get back to that winning season. The sky's the limit. There's some really, really tough competition on this schedule. When you look at Minnesota-Duluth, then you go on the road to Northern State. You have Sioux Falls on the roster, Minnesota State on the roster. You never say never, and it would surprise me. But if Upper Iowa can even come close to have a winning season in this Northern Sun, you've really accomplished a lot in Fayette, Iowa, being the only NCAA Division II football program in the state, and it's right here in our backyard in Fayette, Iowa.
Looking to turn the tables on what the critics predict will be a 7th-place finish in the Northern Sun Conference. Peacocks have a chance to get off to a 2-0 start, playing a team that comes here ranked number 21, but is 0-1 in Minnesota-Duluth on Saturday. It's a 1 p.m. kickoff. Joe Stasi, Zach Carlisle will have the call on AM 950 KOEL, starting with pregame coverage at 12:30 here on Saturday. And Joe, as always, thanks for your time.
Hey, Elwin, you're a pro. We appreciate you. We appreciate everything you do, not only daily, but for Upper Iowa University. Thank you so much for the opportunity to talk Upper Iowa football.
Again, this Hall of Fame weekend, kickoff set for 1 p.m. at Harms-Eischeid Stadium in Fayette.